Good morning, listeners of Hot Topic and Fresh News. Today is the 13th of April, 2024, and we are here to bring you the latest in major news headlines. Former British Prime Minister Liz Truss has unveiled shocking details in her memoir about her short tenure and the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. Recalling her shock at the Queen's sudden demise, Truss recounts her 49 days in office as a turbulent time. Despite her brief stint, she became the last prime minister to be appointed by the Queen, just 2 days before her death. In other news, the tax cut plans that led Truss to step down are also explored in her memoir. Truss defends her £45 billion package of tax cuts that led to economic unrest and the pound plummeting to record lows, referring to the Treasury, the Bank of England, and the Office for Budget Responsibility as obstacles to her plans. Stay tuned for more in-depth analysis and discussion on these pressing stories. Welcome once again, everyone. I'm your host, Emily, coming to you from the heart of New York City, and you're listening to Hot Topic and Fresh News. We're passionate about bringing you the latest headlines and the most relevant news stories, hot off the press. Joining me today, as always, is the insightful David, all the way from San Francisco, California. As our regular listeners know, David brings his analytical prowess and a deep understanding of policy complexities to our discussions, helping us make sense of the world's events. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast, enable notifications, and leave your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you, and your support is integral to keeping this podcast running. Don't forget to share our show with your friends and family, too. I've got a headline today that's sure to spark your curiosity. It's about a former British Prime Minister, a memoir, and the passing of a beloved monarch. You won't believe what I'm about to disclose. Stay tuned as we delve into this and more in today's episode.
Thanks for that introduction, Emily Norma, and hello to all of our listeners. This story is definitely a big one, and I can't wait to delve into the details with you.
Absolutely, David. Let's get right into it, hot off the press.
So, we've learned that former Prime Minister Liz Truss was in office for just 49 days. She was appointed by Queen Elizabeth 2 days before the Queen's death. What kind of impact did this short tenure have on her and the nation?
Well, Truss was in a state of shock when she learned about the Queen's death. She was questioning why it had to be her and why it had to happen at that time. It was a brief but intense tenure, marked by the passing of the longest-serving monarch in UK history.
And she was advised by the Queen to pace yourself. What did she mean by this?
The Queen's advice seems to have been about endurance, suggesting that Truss should take her time and not rush things. However, Truss was later forced to step down due to economic turmoil caused by her mini budget.
Is there any mention of how their final meeting went?
Yes, Truss notes that the Queen stood up to greet her in her drawing room, which was said to be a special effort. They discussed politics for about 20 minutes, and Truss found the Queen to be sharp and witty, completely attuned to current events.
To be honest, I didn't quite get that. What happened around the time of the Queen's death?
When the news reached Downing Street that the Queen wouldn't be available for a scheduled event, everything kicked into high gear. Truss had to arrange her mourning attire and make frantic phone calls to Buckingham Palace. The whole situation was surreal for her, happening just 2 days into her prime ministership.
Truss seems to have had quite an emotional reaction to the Queen's passing. Can you tell us more about this?
Indeed, she was overwhelmed by sadness and even broke down in tears when the Queen's coffin departed from Balmoral. The reality of the situation seemed to hit her hard, as she found herself reflecting on the Queen's advice about pacing herself.
And yet she stepped down shortly after due to economic turmoil. What led to this?
The catalyst for her stepping down was a £45 billion package of tax cuts that she and her Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng had proposed. The proposal sparked panic in the markets and led to a record low for the pound.
Did she feel that these plans were justified?
Interestingly, she defends these plans in her memoir, arguing that key institutions like the Treasury, the Bank of England, and the Office for Budget Responsibility were actually barriers to their plans. She even considered appointing new leaders in the Bank of England and Treasury, but ultimately decided against it due to the potential backlash and the time it would have taken.
And how does she reflect on her time in power?
She admits that she was in a rush to change the UK economy during her time in power, showing perhaps a lack of patience, which contrasts with the Queen's advice to pace herself. More details will certainly emerge as we continue to uncover insights from her memoir. Thanks for joining us on today's Hot Topic and Fresh News, where we dove into the impact of Queen Elizabeth II's passing on former Prime Minister Liz Truss. We appreciate your company and encourage you to engage with us by subscribing, activating notifications, and sharing your thoughts in the comments.
And don't forget to recommend us to your buddies and family. It's a great conversation starter. Remember, we're delivering news to you daily, so keep that notification bell on.
We're incredibly grateful for your support and look forward to enlightening your days with the most important news from around the globe. Until next time.
And who knows what the news cycle will bring next? It's an ever-spinning wheel, but don't worry, we're here to guide you through it. Stay tuned for more, and remember, stay in the loop, keep your eyes on the news, our channel's content will amuse.